Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning.
No, Subway up to it again. He up there those dirty tricks again. Super Bowl, here they come. You know, don't do that. Skip, don't do that. That is so unbecoming to you.
Talk about it.
No, you got to get excited. How about the Patriots?
How about that goat?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you
this
saw
is
it.
going to be an interesting show. I
full
think
display.
I'm in for a treat. Okay, well, if Skip wants to talk about it, let's just get to it. And the Patriots defense came up huge in the 14-10 win yesterday with quarterback Miles Bryant breaking up a pass in the red zone in the final 2 minutes that sealed the victory for New England. And yes, gusty conditions led to Bill Belichick approving an offensive game plan where New England barely threw the ball with 46 rushes compared to only 3 passes. Look at that celebration, Shannon. What was the biggest reason the Patriots won?
Jen, I think you used barely rather nicely.
Barely.
I thought they was going to get away with the game from just throwing the ball one time, Skip. I thought the run game and the defense. And people look, well, he took the ball out of Mac Jones' hands. No, he didn't. Coach Belichick probably looked at the forecast a week out and said, okay, conditions aren't going to be ideal. And the closer they got to the game, it seemed the conditions were going to get worse and worse and worse. And so he's like, hold on. Why am I going to put the ball in my rookie's quarterback hands? This team can't stop the run. Derrick Henry ran for 1 million yards. Jonathan Taylor ran for 2 million yards. The Jags beat them by running the football. We can run the football as comparable as those teams can. So we just going to line up with 6 offensive linemen. We'll line up in 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, and we'll bludgeon them until they surrender. Why am I going to throw the ball if you can't stop it? Skip, it's demoralizing. I've been on teams in the playoff game after we lost to the Jags, Skip, the first year in '96 in the divisional round. We played them again. We ran the ball 49 times for over 300 yards. We played Buffalo, and it wasn't quite as windy, but it was very cold because we had a blizzard, and it was tough for us to get out. We ran the ball, I think, 46 times that day. Skip, it's very demoralizing for a team when you just line up in 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, or you line up in 6 what we call the 6 offensive linemen, or you line up in jumbo personnel, 3 tight ends, and they just run the football down. Skip, they had 9, 10 men in the box and couldn't stop it.
Tell me when it's my turn.
Go ahead, Skip.
You ready? I'm not in the Hall of Fame, but I know a lot about football. And what I saw last night was an overrated Belichick getting real cute and getting away with it because the guy that you have loved on this show from the start, Josh Allen, is not that guy. Once again, big stage, big moment. Where are you, Josh? Shannon Sharpe told me we drafted this man.
Shannon Sharpe picked the Patriots.
6'5"
Shannon Sharpe picked the Patriots
I'm talking
last
about
night.
what you've told me all along about Josh Allen. They picked him for that cold weather up there. Really, I couldn't tell. 6'5", 240. I could not tell. Would you help me out here? How many points did the Patriots score last night?
More than the Bills.
14 points. 14 points. Help me out. Look at your stats over there.
Yeah.
What were they on third down last night? 2 of 12, and they got away with it. Is this not an indictment of Mac Jones? Because to me, this is saying I have no regard for my rookie quarterback because I won't even let him throw with the wind last night, and I got away with it, and I'm about to demonstrate how many times they got away with it because Josh Allen stunk it up again and again and again and again. He was handed opportunity after opportunity after opportunity and could not cash. That's what happened last night. The genius got away with an outrageous game plan of just trying to run it because Buffalo's not that bad against the run. They're 12th against the run, so help me out.
So what happened to Jonathan Taylor?
222 yards.
So what did Jonathan Taylor do to him up there?
He did.
Okay, what about Derrick Henry? What did he do to him?
Well, not that much.
Not that much?
Yeah.
Do you remember
that
Monday,
this year?
Yes. Do you remember that Monday night game?
Yeah.
When Derrick Henry broke up the 75-yarder and went for like $180?
Yeah.
Okay,
and who
what
should
about
have
the
won
Jags?
that game?
Skip.
Well, Buffalo should have won that game.
Okay,
if
Buffalo,
Josh Allen can make one more play.
Well, Buffalo should have won the game.
Every time they have a chance to make plays, he doesn't make the plays. You've told me all year. You've loved Buffalo all year. I haven't. I keep telling you, I'm not buying into this because every time this young quarterback gets his opportunity, he comes up small. That's what happened. Want me to start out? What happened right away? They get the ball at their own 48 on their first possession. And what happens? This is where you take it to them. You got the wind at your back and you go 3 and out and you punt. Second possession off a poor New England punt of only 15 yards. They get it at the New England 40-yard line. And what happened? Breida fumbles right away. Breida fumbles.
That's Josh Allen's fault?
Well, obviously I'm about to get to a whole bunch of Josh Allen. If you'll just hang on tight, because I hope you watched what I saw. Maybe I got to get a new TV. I don't know. But then we get to the fourth possession, and that was the one where the ball grazes off N'Keal Harry's face mask, and they get it to 14, and that's the only time they cashed all night. And he hit Gabriel Davis on a little quick slant.
So both teams scored off turnovers.
Okay. Yep, they did. And then here we go. If we could go to the end of this game. You get 2 shots in the red zone in the fourth quarter. You have to cash. You have to come away with some points, because if you can even just make field goals, and I know it was a really tough field goal night, but if you can just get something out of these 2 possessions, you're going to win this football game, because Belichick is teetering. He is in the biggest trouble because this is at Buffalo against Josh Allen. And let's go to the first possession if we could. It's 9:04 left in the game. They get 4 straight plays in the red zone. And why would you even try to run it? They haven't been able to run all night. They got no run game, obviously. And then here's the second play. This is just bad football. You cannot take a sack that deep. That's on Josh Allen. Here's the third play. And he flips it up and he just airmails. That's against the wind. He airmails Dawson Knox. And here's the field goal, of course.
That's Josh Allen's fault. He kicked it. He should have put it upright. Okay,
but how can the kicker not know what the wind drift is there? Because you have to know. It's a chip shot field goal. It's it's inside of an extra point. You got to be able to make that from 33 yards. And he starts it too far to the right, obviously, and he gets blown to the right. Okay, so now we go to the end of the game. Let's go to 2nd and 9 at the 13. This is another big red zone drive. You get it inside the red zone, and here's the first play. You have to make this throw. This is for the game. That's the game right there, and he misses Diggs. He's just high, wide right. Well, what he does best is throw it against the wind. All the stats say he's actually better against the wind than with the wind. Well, you airmailed him wide right. You cannot do that. So then we got a 3rd and 9. They have a false start, so it becomes a 3rd and 14 at the 18. And here we go again. And he runs around, and he tries to force it up to Dawson Knox. And
guy makes a great play.
Adrian Phillips is all over.
Made a great play.
If you see it from the end zone, he's just not open. It's just a desperation heave. And Dawson Knox, they showed him on ESPN before the game. He's out there in his T-shirt, roaring like a caveman. I got this. Well, you don't got that one. I'm sorry, you don't got that. This is a play that just has to be made, and he just throws it up. It's desperation, didn't work. And now we get to the fateful final play of the game on 4th and 14, and I have no idea what Josh Allen is doing on this play, because he's got Cole Beasley open. He's got him open. And what are you trying to... Are you going to try to throw it to Cole Beasley? He's dead wide open. Right. You could hit him right at the goal line. I don't know if he aimed this at Cole and the wind got it. I don't know if it's for Gabriel Davis on the deeper post in the back of the end zone. Either way, it's a bad idea both ways. It's a terrible throw. And you wind up with, you lost 14-10 at home?
Let me explain the play to you. It's the exact same play Detroit ran for the game winner. You run one through to have 2 on the backside that's wide open. You're right.
The Detroit one? That was a stop route in the end zone.
But I'm saying, but they ran one through. The guys playing outside leverage. What he thought they were going to be playing outside leverage, if I run one through, it's going to be wide open. There was no reason for Bryant.
They came with what you call bomb blitz 22-man. Bomb blitz 22-man.
Zero blitz.
Okay, yeah. And here we go. And again...
That's Coach Belichick's MO, Skip.
Miles Bryant is just sort of playing center field on it. He is beaten by Cole Beasley. If Josh Allen comes straight up and looks and fires to Cole Beasley, who will catch those balls, he will catch those balls. It could be game over.
It was game over. But let me tell you why he didn't. Because he made his mind up when he left the huddle. One is going to clear, and I'm throwing the 2. He did not read that, because had he read that, like you said, Bryant never moves. Skip, the guy, Cole Beasley, you never let a guy cross your place on zero blitz. But you know this is Coach Belichick's MO. What did he do in the Super Bowl, Skip, against the Giants? When they got close, he brought bomb blitz, right? He brought zero blitz, and they was like, no, we need to get up out of this. It was too late. I called it. I'm going with it. But here's the thing, what you didn't show. Show that play where Josh Allen hit Stephon Diggs in his arms on the go route.
Okay, I had it. I was going to get to it.
Okay, yep. So that's Josh Allen's fault?
No, it's the only throw he made all night.
And that'd have been enough to win the game.
Should have been.
That'd have been enough to win the game.
8:30 left in the third quarter. It's with the wind. The ball is going to do a lot of funky stuff in the air, but it comes down and it kind of fooled Diggs. You got to catch it. You just got to catch it. It suddenly dropped right into his arms. It's ball game. It's ball game. So he missed Diggs down on the goal line the other way, but he hit him here. You just have to make that catch. Yeah. If you're that team at that moment against your arch nemesis that has owned you within the division, you just have to make one play. That was a one-play game that never got made by Buffalo.
But that was the thing.
One play.
And it comes to, you're right. Okay, he missed Diggs, but he had an opportunity. If they make that play there, now you put pressure. Can you run the ball? Can you still run the ball? Now, they never made Coach Belichick put the ball in Mac Jones' hands. As long as Mondre Stevens, they better be glad Damian Harris' ankle or foot started bothering him, because he might have ran for 272 yards.
Well, he escaped for 64, and that was really the game. That put them in position to win the game.
But you remember in the third quarter, he broke another one and started hobbling, and then they brought
pulled his hamstring.
Okay, and then they brought Stevenson in the game.
And quick thought on Ramondre Stevenson. You can look at my timeline. I tweeted as soon as they stole him in the draft on draft day. I tweeted in the fourth round, he will be you can look it up. He will be a star if Belichick lets him. And last night on the telecast, I know you don't listen to the sound, they were raving all night about how Ramondre Stevenson is becoming a star. Yeah. He helped make Lincoln Riley a year ago. He kept him afloat because he is 250 pounds, and he's got dancing bare feet. He can really move. He can really catch. They have not utilized that yet. They have not maximized or flaunted that yet, but he is a star in the making, but he fumbled early and got in the doghouse, and he's just now emerging. But he could be a threat down the stretch that they haven't had since LeGarrette Blount.
Right. And in conditions like this, Skip, this is the type of guy that you need, the way they power the football. But, Skip, there's not very many times that I can recall in my 20-plus years of covering Coach Belichick while I was a player, but my last, say, 15 years of covering Coach Belichick, I don't think I can recall more than a handful of times that you left a game and says, Coach Belichick should have done this offensively, or he should have done this defensively. Coach Belichick, the one thing about him you can honestly say, he's a chameleon. He doesn't do what he good. He does what you can't stop. Buffalo couldn't stop the run. Why would I ever put the ball in a quarterback's hand in those kinds of conditions if you can't stop me just turning around and hand it? It's a lot easier, Skip, for me to turn around, hand the ball to Stevenson, hand the ball off to Damian Harris, occasionally give it to Bolden, as opposed to putting up in the air and the wind is blowing it all over the place. Why would I do that? Defensively, you look at what he does, Skip. Nobody coaches it up. There is no reason. Because remember, Skip, the only reason the kid is in the game is because Douglas is out. And remember, Adrian Phillips got hurt like the second to the last play of the game. He has no business. He's the backup to a backup. And he's in the game in the biggest moment. Malcolm Butler. That just goes to show you the level of coaching, the level of detail that comes down to it, because sometimes, like you said, it comes down to a play. Now, this kid could have been in the back sleeping. He could have been dozing off. He could have been not paying attention. But for some reason, Coach Belichick coached that up. Because if he didn't, Coach Belichick is going to ream him. Because he left Cole Beasley wide open and Josh Allen could have pulled up. But maybe they knew they're going to run one through in order to hit two on the backside. Maybe they counted, the way we counted 1, 2. Some people count outside 1, inside 2. However you count it. But what they were trying to do was try to clear and just bring the slant in on the backside. And the kid, for whatever reason, he was there and knocked it down. And like you said, yes, games like this come down to one play. That's what it comes down to, Skip. It's going to come down to one play, because the conditions are not going to let you allow you to throw the ball all over the field. Coach Belichick has his guys ready. They're peaking at the ideal time. This is what they normally do. When it gets colder, they get hotter. You got your hands full, AFC, dealing with this team. When you can go, Skip, and win a football game on the road, and all you do is throw it 3 times now, I don't want people to think that, that's going to be their formula. That was the formula for that game. That was a special. You go to a restaurant, they say, would you like to hear about the specials, Mr. Bayless? We have a few features that's not on the menu.
Yep.
That wasn't on the menu last night. He served that up just because.
And he got away with it just because Josh Allen and company, and I'll throw in Stephon Diggs, couldn't make one play. If you told me going in that Bill Belichick would wind up with 14 points, I'd say Buffalo wins that game. Right. I don't care if the wind's blowing 1,000 miles an hour. Buffalo should win that game at home.
Well, I knew you. Well, I think the over-under was like 40 points. I'm like, they're not even getting to 30 points.
Well, it kept plummeting before the game as the wind kept increasing.
30 and 40 mile an hour gusts.
I told you yesterday it was going to average 25 miles an hour, but I think it was gusting to 50 miles an hour. Okay? So I got it. And it's like unpredictable gusts against field goals. So it's hard to
you see
do.
everybody punting the ball. They're punting the ball, and the ball going out the end zone. Every time the guy's on his own 20 and he punts the ball, he goes out the end zone.
Okay, but Sean McDermott said after the game, we're going to talk deeper about this in a few minutes, but Sean McDermott said, if you'd told me before the game that this is where we would have our starting field position, these would be our opportunities, he'd say, I would have been extremely comfortable with that. Well, he would have, because Buffalo's starting field position for the whole night was its own 40-yard line. New England's starting field position was its own 23. Well, in a game that's a one-play game, you would say, huge advantage to home team.
Right.
Well, you have to cash.
Yes.
Right away, if you get the ball all the way out at your 48-yard line for your first offensive possession, you have to go get 3. You just have to. You got the win.
You need 2 first downs and you're in field goal range.
If you can just get 3 there, it's going to tilt the playing field back in your favor. And then on the second position, they get it all the way down the New England 40, and Breida, who's new to them and not one of their guys, he's not one of their core players.
Right.
They had a couple of decent gains, and then Breida fumbles. Well, you can't fumble. And again, the turnovers were 1-to-1, so each team sort of handed the other team a gift.
Because that's how both teams scored their touchdowns on those turnovers.
They did. So in the end, I look at my stat sheet, and New England was 0 of 1 in the red zone. Well, Buffalo was 1 of 4 in the red zone. Well, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
You're just. I'm sorry. In the end, that's end of story.
Right.
So in the end, Josh Allen is 15 of 30 for 145 yards, QBR of 20. It's just, he's better than that, you would think. He was drafted to be better than that. And I believe Buffalo will wake up this morning, they get another shot, they get another crack back in New England in two weeks. Okay, but they have to just shake their head and say, somebody had to make a play, and it has to start with our quarterback. And then it goes to our star wide receiver. Somebody's just got to make one play. And again, we're also going to talk about how the 2 safeties, Poyer and Micah Hyde, got mad at a reporter's question after the game. Well, they got mad. Were you embarrassed by how you got run on? Well, they're embarrassed that they lost the game. But to their point, they sat there and looked at each other like, we just allowed 14 points. How it wasn't like it was 40 to 6. It wasn't like you got run out of your stadium. You did not get run out of your stadium.
You didn't?
No.
Now, I remember a Super Bowl when Coach Belichick defense gave up 17 points, and you blamed the defense. Now, all of a sudden, you're blaming offense. Oh, how soon we forget?
Which Super Bowl you're speaking of?
The Super Bowl they lost to the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Belichick's defense held them to 17 points.
Yeah, but when was that? It's when you play defense or don't play defense. Yes. Because Tom Brady did what Tom Brady always does.
14.
He drove them 80 yards and hit Randy Moss with the touchdown pass to put them up 14-10 with 2 minutes to go. And you're up against some kid named Eli Manning that nobody sees
the number 1 overall draft pick.
And he goes 75 yards on Bill Belichick's defense to score. You don't need a field goal. You need a touchdown. And Belichick's defense spit the bit and allowed a touchdown?
I'm just trying to figure out how the first player to win the MVP unanimously could only get 14 points. But we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about that
enough?
No. It clearly wasn't.
Well, guess who got overrated in that game? Belichick did, because he couldn't stop Eli from 75 yards away to keep him out of the end zone.
I think in the Man in the Arena, I think they're talking about that game tonight. You should pay attention to that. You should watch that story. But anyway, I thought Coach Belichick did an outstanding job of preparing his team, and he does a great job of that, of preparing his team for no matter what. That's why he wets the football and they win and all this stuff going. More times than not, they're practicing outside as opposed to inside, because you never know, especially Buffalo. There's something about Buffalo, and I know a lot of people, fans, haven't gone to Buffalo. I've played in Buffalo on several occasions.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have covered games on many occasions in Buffalo.
And I've never been able to skip. I've never been there and got idea. It's always raining, snowing, or very windy. Whether it's September, October, November, December, I'm like, well, damn, does the sun ever shine in Buffalo? Because I can't tell.
You're too close to that lake, and the wind is going to blow off the lake.
Yes, and it's cold, it's damp, it's raining. And so for them to do that, Skip, you got to go back. I can't, like I said, I've run the ball. I've been in the situation, Skip, 49 times. We've run the ball 49 times against Jacksonville. Actually, we ran it 46 times against Buffalo in 97. And, Skip, it's demoralizing. It's demoralizing to me because I'm saying if y'all stop them, we'll throw it. But if y'all don't stop TD, y'all keep letting them get 12, 8, 7. Why would we ever throw it if you can't stop that? Coach Belichick said, we getting first down after first down after first down. Why would I want to throw it?
Although you didn't get that many first downs because Buffalo had 16 to your 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was how they got the 11. Skip, it was the time of possession. They just churned it. Skip, can you imagine? You got 10 guys in the box. You see 6 offensive linemen. And you like a fullback, running back, and a tight end. Oh, they running the football. And...
If I'm Mac Jones and I wake up this morning, I'm thinking, gee, does he just not really like me? Does he not respect me?
If I'm Mac Jones this morning, I got more touchdowns than all the other rookie quarterbacks combined. I'm about to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I'm about to take a team to the playoffs in my rookie season.
So I completed 2 passes last night, says Mac Jones, and one of them was a horrendous overthrow that Jonnu Smith snagged, and I don't know how he caught it, but with one hand he caught it, and the other one was a screen pass. Really? That's all you completed for the whole game?
If I'm Mac Jones, MJ10, I would refer to him as MJ10.
Yeah, okay, MJ10.
Yeah, MJ10. He's like, I won. I'm the number 1 seed in the AFC. How many rookies can ever say that? They've been the number 1 seed in the AFC. Maybe Big Ben, when they went 15-1 that year. Outside of that, I'm it. Coach Belichick, you did it again.
So was that Mac Jones, what was his MJ10? Is that MJ10's signature win last night?
It's a win.
Okay, have they had a signature win? Because I can't find one on these results.
Yes, you can.
I don't see one.
Hold up. What's Tampa's signature win?
Huh.
All you do is just keep
How about at Belichick? How about Dallas?
You have little to no respect for Mac Jones. You have little to no respect for Coach Belichick. So how significant of a win is it if you got little to no respect for the coach and the quarterback?
They lost their first 4 home games this year.
And
how do you do that?
How you lose your first 4 home games and you the number 1 seed in the AFC?
Because you beat the Jets twice and you beat Carolina with Sam Darnold? I'll give you that. Way to go. Congratulations.
He beat Sam Darnold with Carolina? Is that the same Carolina that's in your division that you play twice? What about the Atlanta Falcons? That you play twice? It's funny. You know, all of a sudden, Atlanta and Carolina is terrible if they play the Patriots. But they're world beaters when they play Tampa when you try to hype the other situation. I'm not going to let you get away with it. I told you. You betting against Coach Belichick. We're going to talk about it a little later.
Yes,
this is a masterpiece.
Okay.
This is a masterpiece.
Are they going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC?
Uno.
Yes?
Uno!
Huh? Who has a better shot at being number 1 seed, Tampa or Belichick?
We had this conversation a week ago. I told you you asked me a week ago, who had Gina posed the question, who has a better chance of reaching the Super Bowl, the Patriots or the Bucs? If you don't refresh the people at home recollection what I said.
I don't remember.
You don't remember, Skip Bayless.
All I know is you picked Tampa and Kansas City to get to the Super Bowl.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. Who did I pick last night for this old case of do-you that I had?
We didn't have a case of do.
You keep reneging.
I don't renege. You just fake it. You make it up. You fantasize it.
Did I not pick Buffalo last night?
You did.
I mean, no, not Buffalo, New England.
You picked New England.
Who did you pick?
I picked Buffalo.
Okay, why would you pick it?
I thought Josh Allen at home surely can win this game, and was I ever wrong?
Why would you ever pick against the GOAT? Why would you ever pick Coach Belichick?
Are we calling him the GOAT again? Oh,
there you go.
Wow.
No mercy.
Well, the Lakers are 12-12 heading into their game against the Celtics tonight. With a team full of future Hall of Famers, some of the criticism for the lackluster season has fallen on Frank Vogel. When asked about his coach, LeBron said, quote, "I think criticism comes with the job, you know? Frank is a strong-minded guy. He has a great coaching staff. Frank doesn't care, and we don't either, about what people are saying." Shannon, if the Lakers keep hanging around 500, how much longer will Frank Vogel hang around?
Probably to the All-Star game. This is unacceptable. They put this team together to contend for a title now. LeBron is not getting younger. Carmelo isn't getting younger. Dwight Howard. As a matter of fact, hell, AD isn't getting younger. Skip, they constructed this team. They put this veteran team together to win, to compete for a title. This isn't competing. 12-12, the number 6 seed in the West, is not competing for a title. And you're right, look, LeBron has heard the criticism, Melo, Russ has heard the criticism his whole career.
Yep.
A lot of these guys have heard the criticism. And guess what happens when a coach starts hearing criticism? He gets up out of there. Because a lot of times when the players hear criticism, superstar, you can criticize them all you want. They're not getting rid of them because they're so hard to come by. But they'll change coaches. You saw David Blatt. They got David Blatt right up out of there, Skip. It's happened before. So it's only a matter of time if they don't turn this around that I believe David Fizdale, who's on the staff currently, who's with LeBron in Miami, they won 2 titles together. He's been a head coach before. I'm not so sure he won't be coaching this team down the stretch if Frank Vogel doesn't turn this around. But LeBron is right. The coach can only do so much, but it's amazing how he can only do so much. It's up to the players to produce, but that's not how ownership looks at it. Because the ownership's like, I can't get rid of all you jokers because y'all playing terrible. I wish I could, but I can't. I can get rid of him. And maybe that shakes up the room. Maybe that lights a fire to let you know that I'm serious about this and what my expectations are. But it's not going away until they string together some wins. And Skip, and I'm not talking about no win to, lose to. I'm talking about 5, 6, 7, 8 games, a game winning streak that they need to go on to hush, to calm because the fans are getting restless.
Yep.
The criticism is growing louder. So until they string together some wins, that criticism is going to become deafening.
Okay, I'm going to go you one better. If this keeps teetering along at 500, and it starts with a dicey, dangerous game tonight at Staples against the Celtics team that basically just blew them out.
Beat the brakes off them.
Especially in the second half. I was looking at it this morning, and it was a complete wipeout in the second half where they lost badly. I think it was 60-43 in the second half. Anyway, it was a complete annihilation. And all of a sudden, the Celtics have won, they've won 3 of 4. And they took care of Portland the other night. Portland's teetering also, but they're on a little bit of a hot streak. They're starting to find themselves. So dangerous tonight, and crescendo would be on Christmas against the Brooklyn Nets, right, at home. If you lose those 2 games with some in between, I say by the first of the year, Frankie V is going to be gone. Right. Because
he might not be, you talking like that, Skip, hell, he might not make the first of the year.
You could be right about this because this is just wrong. Because I keep looking at the team, even when I try to think who should win tonight, I keep thinking, well, the Lakers should just win. This is at home. We should just win this game. And every time I think that, doesn't happen. Because the superstars aren't starring. And I don't know why, but it starts with Russell Westbrook. It's a trouble situation. He just doesn't fit, and I said it from the start. But if you look at the overall numbers of everybody, just their individual numbers, they're okay. They look like, if you do individual numbers across the board, you say, this team's pretty good because we got 5 Hall of Fame-bound players. I'm not even counting Rondo as a potential 6th Hall of Famer. And yet, what do I see? Last year, you were 1st in defensive efficiency. You're 13th now. Well, that's why you're a 500 team. That's why you're 12-12.
Turnovers.
Okay, well, let's go to offensive efficiency. You're 21st at offensive efficiency with LeBron. Now, LeBron's played, about half the game?
Correct.
Okay, so maybe if he gets healthy, stays eligible going forward, that maybe that'll start to turn around. It should. Right. But then I look at three-point shooting. You're 14th in the league in three-point shooting, but you're only 20th. It's because LeBron has become a high-volume, low percentage shooter. He's 33.7% now from 3, and he's attempting 8.4 a game, which is by far the most he's ever attempted in his career. Well, slowly but surely that wears on the psyche of a team because you're wasting too many possessions. And then let's go to three-point defense. They're 15th, so they're mediocre at best. Right. And how many times have you come in here and say, we don't guard anybody at the three-point line?
I'm surprised it's that high.
And you know what? It's just right in the middle. Yet Luke Kennard the other night for the Clippers in the fourth quarter, he's like, You're going to let me shoot this?
Yeah.
I'll make this. And he made all 3 of his threes in the fourth quarter, and the last 2 were daggers. Okay? Free throw shooting. You rank 27th in the league in free throw shooting. It's just what it will get you over time. It's what happens to 500 type teams. Even with all that star power, you're not
because you're involved in close ball games. It comes down to free throws. And you look at the Clippers, they made their free throws. They were 21 of 24. You guys were 13 to 28, 13 to 21.
Exactly. Okay, so now it comes back to Frank Vogel, and I was kind of shocked he got the job in the beginning, but in the bubble, it clicked and it worked.
Right.
Because he is a defensive specialist. He hangs his hat on the defensive end, and he somehow got through to them with some help from Jason Kidd, obviously, and others on the staff, but he got through to that team in the bubble because they were really good on defense in the bubble.
Right.
And guess what? He was a champion, so you can't take that away.
Right.
But ever since then, it's kind of teetered, and now it's starting to fade into the sunset to the point where I agree with you about Fizdale. I love him. I just think he's a good man. He's got great charisma, but I can't defend what happened. Remember, in Memphis. He only lasted like 1 year and then into the second year, but they made the playoffs and played my Spurs in the first round when my Spurs were still the Spurs, and they lost in 6, but it was a battle.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the Knicks, and I thought, oh, what a great move by the Knicks. And second year, he got fired. Okay, so that's 2 years and 2 years in Memphis and Knicks.
Right.
So you can't really justify that, except to your point, in Miami, he was LeBron's guy. He was always in LeBron's ear because he's soothing, he's comforting, he's a player, he's the ultimate player's coach. He has a connection. He's an LA guy. He just has really good, nice manner about him, nice charisma. So, because Frankie V to me seems a little distant from the team, a little hard to know, a little bit sort of elusive in personality. I can't really figure him out. I don't think he has a close relationship with any of the players on the team because he kind of stays a little standoffish from everybody. So Fizdale is just sitting there like, I got this, right? Would LeBron be happy with Fizdale? I think he would. Right.
And we've seen it before. We see what happened when they let Doc go. The guy that replaced him was already on his bench. When they let David Black go, the guy that replaced him was already on his bench. Was
that not a great move?
And that was a great move. So, like Skip, you're with the Lakers now. This is not some just ragtag organization. This is not OKC. This is not the Wizards. This is not Sacramento. This is a cornerstone. This is a gold standard franchise. No matter how downtrodden you might think they were before they got LeBron and started turning things around, this is the Lakers. 17 championships. Lakers, Celtics, Knicks. Now it's the Warriors. But for the longest time, Skip, it was just those 3 franchises were the cornerstones of the NBA.
Agreed.
So you can't lose at those franchises and think everything, oh, baby, we're turning it right. No.
Not with if it were LeBron's first year with all the kids around him, you'd say, okay.
Right.
Okay, this is an all-time collection of Hall of Fame-bound talent, albeit later in careers.
Right.
But Westbrook's still in his prime, right? And AD is still in his prime.
But still, it's not, even if they're not in the prime, they should be winning the game. You can't blow a 26-point lead to OKC. You can't blow a 19-point lead. You can't blow these leads that you had against Sacramento and have them come back and beat you. I don't care.
They were up 1 at Boston at halftime, up 1, and then you get blown out in the second half. You can't do it.
If you got a 26-point lead, you can have every guy in their 40s. As long as you don't turn the ball over, you should still be able to win the ball game. But they start turning the ball over. There are so many things that's not puzzling, but explains why the Lakers are where they are, Skip. They don't play defense. Well, you don't guard the three-point line. You turn the ball over. You don't shoot. You shoot poorly from the free throw line. Well, damn, Skip, how many more things are there?
Okay, it's about doing it. It's about, okay, we see it on paper.
Right.
Now you have to do it on the floor.
Right.
And they're just not doing it on the floor.
No.
Am I seeing some age in LeBron? I'm seeing some aging because he's drifting farther and farther back, shooting farther and farther shots.
Right.
Because he just not, he doesn't trust his body to keep attacking the basket. He'll pick his spots. But he still even said yesterday, I'm still not quite right for my ab thing. And I think every time he tries to tomahawk, he's like, whoops, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
A lot of it's just laying it up. And because of that, Skip, he's not finishing as strong as he normally was. He did the contact. As we start to age, Skip, I don't care. Basketball, you're not trying to have those collisions like you once did. It happens to all the players. Ask anybody that's played an extended time in the NFL. You don't want those licks, Skip. They hurt. Trust me, I played. I was in my 14th year, and I remember thinking like, I should run this. Nah, I better not run him over. I better not. I better go ahead and step out of bounds and live to see another day. And that's what LeBron's like, man, I can't go to the basket 20 times a game like I could, Skip, when I was 25, maybe even when I was 30. He just can't do it anymore. So you're right. He has to pick and choose his spots. And I agree with it. I'm not so sure because every once in a while I catch him.
He does. No, he does. What have I told you from the start? You consider him the GOAT. A GOAT in this circumstance always needs a scapegoat. And the easiest scapegoat in the NBA or any pro sport, it's always the coach, because you can't fire Westbrook, and I don't think they're going to trade Westbrook.
I don't either.
I'd be shocked by that. You can't fire Melo when he goes cold. You're not going to run him out. So it has to be the coach. And the coach is not beloved, right? If it were a traditional, long-running, long-term, fan-beloved coach, but the fans don't love him. Every night I look up, your team's playing, I look on Twitter, what's trending? It's Vogel. It's Vogel. It's Vogel. Because he's the easiest target in sports right now, because, well, it has to be somebody's fault. Can't be LeBron's, can't be Westbrook's.
Well, I will say this, Skip. I just think the thing is, players get older, they need more help. The days of LeBron being able to drag anybody, regardless, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, it does not matter. As we start to get older, and Tom Brady can attest, the main reason that I'm sure he wanted to stay. And maybe had they made him an offer, he would have stayed. But he realized the talent level that he had in New England wasn't going to be able to get him over the hump. No longer could Tom make everybody better. At some point in time, Tom needed a collection of characters around him to help make him better. And that's what he got in Tampa. You get a Chris Godwin, you get a Mike Evans, you get an offensive line, you draft the kid Worth out of Iowa, and so solidify that. You get Cameron Brake, O.J. Howard, and you say, okay, Gronk, I need you, bro.
Okay, but you got to go change the whole culture from losing to winning. Yeah, and he did it in a pandemic turnaround.
But you know what happened? All you got to do is win. The best culture is winning culture.
Sure.
And as soon as you start, when you lose, and what happened for so long in Tampa, because the Tampa was fine when they had Brooks and Sapp, they were winning. And when they had John Lynch and Rondé Barber, they were winning. The culture was just fine.
Well, because Tony Dungy built that culture.
Yeah, but I'm saying, when you win, the culture's just fine.
Okay, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. So what Tom did, they won a few games. They're like, well, hold on. The games that we normally would have lost, we won today. Okay, I can get behind. He said we're going to win. He said, if we do this, this, and this, we can win. Kind of like when Mike came. Skip, a lot of the players were the same players. John Elway was there. The offensive line was pretty much, I was there. They brought in a drafted TD. Obviously, TD changed fortune because we can run the football now.
Yep.
But Zim was there, who went to the Hall of Fame, all-decade players in the 80s and 90s. Elway, myself. So a lot of the guys were still there. It was just, all of a sudden, he put it in our head, not hoping. We expected to win. And so it changed the mindset. Tom went down there and said, no, we don't hope to win. We're going to prepare this, this, and this, and we're going to win.
Okay, you always tell me, what is LeBron's greatest strength to you? It's the rub-off effect. I'll show you. I'll take you all on a journey here.
It's not there anymore, Skip. You got to have players now. Legit players.
Okay, but there's still enough talent. They have to be better than they are right now.
There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this.
This is truly inexcusable.
Yeah, there's no excuse for this.
And it's also completely and utterly baffling. How can you be 12-12? That's 24 games in. Now, obviously, there hadn't been Bron for half of them, but still.
But you still should have enough with AD and Russ to still be able to win some of the games that they lost.
That is correct. And it better start tonight, or Frankie V is going to be Frankie gone.
Yeah, it ain't looking good for you.
Yeah.
Oh, anytime you're around 500, people have a lot to say.
You can be around 500 if you're Sacramento, not if you're the Lakers.
Fair enough. Lakers, high expectations. Oh, speaking of a team on a roll, the Patriots, they won their 7th in a row yesterday, and their 9-4 record cements them as the #1 seed in the AFC as Bill Belichick's squad enters their bye week before the final 4 weeks of the season. Can't believe we're already there. Some people wrote off the future Hall of Fame coach after New England sputtered last season in their first year without Tom Brady. But this season, it's looking like Belichick may get the last laugh. So, Shannon, is Belichick proving he deserves more credit than Tom Brady?
Skip, you know in our business, somebody has to get the credit, somebody has to get the blame. Because a lot of time, did they win the game or did such and such lose the game? So automatically, we always have to pick a side. Skip, I think Coach Belichick is proving that he deserves credit for the simple fact, the CEO. Do we know who invented the iPod? Do we know who invented the iPad or the iPhone? Steve Jobs get credit. Because Steve Jobs was the one that hired the guys. Steve Jobs is the one that put everything in place. He has to oversee everything. Coach Belichick has to see everything. That guy did his job. Tom Brady did his job. Coach Belichick put him in position to do his job, put pieces around him so he could do his job even better. That's not to diminish Tom. Tom is great, historically transcendent, whatever term you wanted to use to define greatness. Tom Brady is a step above that. But to try to diminish Coach Belichick for what he's done and his role in it, although he does not catch, although he does not tackle, he does not throw, he does not run the football or block. All he does is gets the guys. Skip, Kyle Van Noy, the Dolphins cut him. They said, no, we good, bro. We good. Jamie Collins.
And by the way, the Dolphins are doing okay without him, right?
Skip, what about Jamie Collins? Jamie Collins goes to Cleveland, they bring him back. He goes to Detroit, they bring him back. It seems to me a lot of these guys can only have success, find success where, Skip? With Coach Belichick. And he's taking guys, you're like, man, I just saw that guy over there, and he was, Matthew Judon was good. He ain't played like that in Baltimore. I'm sorry, Skip, he was good. He was a good player, and they wanted him back. He didn't do this. So Coach Belichick, I don't think, gets enough credit because we give more of the credit to the guys in the arena. But I think he's showing that it took him a while, Skip. They were in salary cap hell. I don't know how they got there, considering they don't pay nobody no money. They had to pay Matthew Judon, Skip, obviously in free agent. They spent a lot of money in free agency, and Mr. Kraft let it be known. I ain't really happy. I've been saving money for, Tom had you saving money, Mr. Kraft, for 20 years. It's the first time you had to go to the bank and spend a little money, and Mr. Kraft like, hey, I ain't happy with that. That's not how we normally do it. Coach Belichick reworked his roster, got some guys in, brought some guys in, tight end Jonnu Smith. Did Hunter Henry even play last night? I couldn't tell.
He blocked a lot.
I know Jonnu Smith was in there blocking at the fullback 47. Skip, but I just think last year, I just think this year, what Coach Belichick has been able to do with this roster, I don't think any of us think that this roster is the most talented roster. Would you take this roster over Tampa? No. Tom Brady went to the ideal situation. That's not just because you a team, there are a lot of teams that's talented, but it took Tom thumbprint to go in there, change the mindset, win games that they normally would lose, have an expectation of winning, and here they are. That's what Coach Belichick does. When you go there, there's an expectation, Skip, that we're going to win, and we're going to win. And you look at all these pieces, Skip, look at those wide receivers. That's not Chris Godwin. That's not Mike Evans. Those tight ends aren't Gronk, or Howard, or Brate. That offensive line is not Worth and Smith and Jensen. That's not them. But somehow Coach Belichick has figured it out. And you look at the defense. What guy is better than Devin Smith? What guy better than Levante David?
Well, Hightower is really good.
He ain't better than those two.
I don't know about that. Last night, he was big time last night. He owned from tackle to tackle. He owned it.
Do you remember?
Listen, Devin Smith has not played to his level that he played last year. Go ahead.
You don't think he is, Skip? But that game against Washington, the guy had a sack, 2 tackles for losses, and 20 tackles.
Okay.
That's not playing to his potential. But you got to realize, Skip, now, Levante David was out.
He was.
So he took. But this team, what Coach Belichick has them doing, Skip, I think he's finally showing that he's deserved a lot more credit than what people was willing to give him. But we got to take, that's just the way it is. We got to pick somebody. So I'm saying Coach Belichick deserves a lot more credit than you. I don't care about anybody else giving him credit. I'm talking about you. Because you want to heap all the credit on you know who.
Because he deserves it.
No.
I need somebody to please explain how suddenly the credit playing field has leveled off one game last night in Buffalo.
No, this season.
Okay, let's do the season.
Yeah.
How it suddenly leveled with a 44-year-old quarterback who is coming off a defending championship in which he was the Super Bowl MVP. He is now, to me, the front runner for regular season MVP in 2021. And his team is 9-3, and I will not be shocked if his team doesn't wind up the #1 seed here.
But you just, hold on. Pro Football Focus graded the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the #1 roster in football, right?
But you mean before the season?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Maybe. I'm not sure about that.
And Coach Belichick has the exact same record as those guys.
Okay.
Hey, figure, I need somebody to help me understand that.
9-3 versus 9-4. So, okay, give you that. But the point is, I'm looking at the results so far, and tip of the cap to Coach Belichick and company for making this happen. What have they won? 7 straight games?
7 straight, yeah.
I'm looking for signature here. I'm just looking because the season starts off and they lose to the Dolphins at home, and the Dolphins then proceed to lose 7 in a row after that opening win at New England.
Dolphins now run 5 in a row.
Okay, and then that's, you want to talk about a flip the switch? That's shocking to me. But again, here come the Saints, and they won at Foxborough, and they're now 5-7, obviously because there's no Jameis. And then the Bucs win and won. The Cowboys went there and won at Foxborough. So they lost their first 4 home games. Yet they're 6-0 on the road. But what have they done? Help me out. Where's signature? They did win at the Chargers, 27-24, and I'll give you that. But the Cowboys won at the Chargers too, and you don't have much use for the Cowboys, so that kind of disqualifies and discredits.
But
that
the Chargers
win, right?
just went and did a number on the Bengals.
Okay, well, it's been one that it's kind of that kind of crazy year, right? So I don't know if I can put a whole lot of stock in the Chargers just yet. And then Belichick beats the Jets at home and the Jets away, and he wins at the Texans. Okay, and I told you earlier, he beat Carolina with Sam Darnold at quarterback. I'm not impressed.
Y'all did too.
At home, he beat Cleveland when Baker was beat all to hell at that point.
No.
They didn't have either running back at that point. And then Belichick wins at Atlanta. You have zero respect for the Falcons because you completely discredited Brady at Falcons on Sunday, right? And then Tennessee, New England beat Tennessee without Derrick Henry, without A.J. Brown, without Julio Jones. Well, what am I supposed to do with that? That leaves me last night. Was that signature last night? I guess it has to qualify.
Yeah, that's Buffalo.
Okay, it's Buffalo. And Josh Allen is not that guy. I've told you from the start, and now his QBR has plummeted all the way down to 8. So he's not.
But he's still a top 10 as far as quarterback QBR.
Is he a top 10 quarterback when it's time to be? What's happened? They have had disaster after disaster this year. They lost their home opener to Pittsburgh. You have zero respect for what's left of Ben Roethlisberger.
That was unacceptable.
Okay? And then they go to Jacksonville and lose 9-6. And then Indy goes to Buffalo. And as you know, it was a complete devastation. It was 41-15, 264 total rush yards.
Yes.
Okay?
And the Tennessee Titans ran the ball all the way over the head, too.
So my point is, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. I'm not seeing signature. They've just sort of taken care of business because their schedule's been pretty sweet.
But here's the thing, Skip. Signature is what we make it. We determine what's the signature win. Well, this team was really good, and they beat that really team. At the end of the day, the man has 9 victories, when a lot of people did not see them getting to that many victories. Nobody thought they were going to be in contention for the AFC East. Even I had conceded that Buffalo was going to win that division. Now what they've done is they forced everybody to rethink, are we sure Buffalo's going to win this division? I'm not so sure anymore. I think there are a lot of other prognosticators out there that's not so sure anymore.
Okay.
I think looking around the AFC, everybody's saying the New England Patriots are for real for one simple reason. Their defense, and they're not going to make the mistake that beat themselves. They're going to be in every single ball game. They're going to force you to beat them as opposed to them beating themselves.
Well, I keep saying this, but let's see next time because they're coming off a bye and they go to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
It's going to be a good game.
Buffalo has a revenge shot back in Foxborough. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Then it's Jacksonville at Foxborough. I don't care about what happens because that's I don't need to even hear the outcome of that one. But they do. New England has to finish at Miami.
Yeah.
It's been a nightmare trap for them. It's always been because it's so cold in Foxborough and they have to go down there into the heat and humidity. And Brady always struggled in that kind of game in late December.
But if you notice one thing, Skip, Coach Belichick's disciples have better success against him than Coach Saban's disciples.
Okay.
Matt Patricia beat him when he was in Detroit. Josh McDaniels beat him when he was in New England.
Yep.
I think Eric Mangini beat him when he was in Cleveland.
Okay.
Romeo Crennel. So a lot of these guys seemingly have greater success against Coach Belichick than they have against Coach Saban. That's to say this, Skip. I think can we just not go ahead and hand him the trophy for Coach of the Year? Is anybody else in the running? Who else in the running? Nobody. Get a man the trophy. What we waiting on? Go ahead and carve it like they had the 99 British Open.
I feel like the season hasn't even started yet.
It is already. It's over.
No, it's over.
Remember in 1999 they was carving John Valdevel's name on the British.
Are they going to win those last 4?
Yeah, they're gonna win 3 or 4.
Are they? Really?
At worst case, they're 3 or 4. I got a strong you give me 5 cases of dew and give me 2-1 odds. I take them to win them all right now.
To win them all?
Oh, what part about all didn't you get?
Really?
And I ain't talking about the detergent. I'm talking about all the games.
Huh. Interesting.
Very, very. You gonna be in a heap. You about to be in a heap of trouble, Mr. Bayless.
Okay.
You about to be in a heap of trouble, and don't let them face your Buccaneers. You know the job that he'll do on your.
I can't wait for that. It would be.
But y'all not going, so I don't even know why I'm talking about that.
Valhalla for me to watch that game unfold because the GOAT doesn't lose to the quote-unquote GOAT.
Yes, he does.
He does not
Coach
lose.
Belichick.
And by the way, I got to clarify one point of order and defend the 44-year-old on one other point.
What happened?
If he had been Belichick's quarterback last night in his first year as a starter under similar wind conditions, there is no way that Belichick's going to shut down Brady under the same.
Yes, he did it all the time.
He took the game completely out of Mac Jones' hands. Did you see the playoff game that Tom played in his first year as a starter against the Oakland Raiders in Foxborough when it snowed cats and dogs? Do you remember this game? I was there in the front row of the press box watching the snow descend on what became known as the Tuck Rule game.
Yeah.
Would you believe what Tom Brady did in that game?
What did he do?
Would you believe in the fourth quarter and overtime, did Belichick take the ball out of his hands? Tom Brady in a driving snowstorm in the fourth quarter and overtime against a team that I thought was better than New England at that point went 20 of 28 for 138 yards. And on the final drive in overtime to the field goal that won the game, he went 8 of 8 for 45 yards. Taking game out of hand,
Can I ask you a question?
that was all about the first-year starter from the 6th round.
Can I ask you a question? Entering the fourth quarter, can you tell the people at home what was the score in that game entering the fourth quarter? It was 13-3 the Raiders. He couldn't take the ball out of his hands because they didn't have the lead.
Why not? Why not? Had he taken it out of his hands the whole game?
You're down 13-3.
Okay. Well, he let him throw the whole game. And Tom wasn't great in the first half throwing the football because it was hard to throw the football, but he figured it out. So, he told his receivers at halftime, you catch it, I'm going to throw it to you. All you got to do is catch it. I promise you I'm going to throw it to you.
I didn't know that was the quarterback's job to throw it and the receiver's job to catch it. But
28.
That's really good on you, Tom.
Can you believe 28 pass attempts in the fourth quarter and overtime in a driving snow?
I'm glad you went there.
Genius.
You know
where was the genius running the football?
It was funny because I looked up that game and it says the wind, it was very little wind, slightly sometimes the gusts got up to 10 miles an hour as opposed to 45 to 50 last night. So you tell me which is it harder to throw in, 45 to 50 mile an hour wind or winds gusting slightly to about 10 miles an hour? You tell me.
I'll give you the wind, but I'll also give you, a lot of coaches just say, I can't even try to throw it.
But here's the thing though, Skip. You're down. Who runs the football continuously when you're down and you see the game slipping away? It was a totally different situation. Had Tom Brady got the lead, Tom Brady was not going to be throwing the football because we've seen him do it. We've seen Coach Belichick just run the football even with Tom Brady. And Tom Brady having enough understanding and enough confidence in himself and to know who he is, this doesn't diminish me. We're winning the game. Because at the end of the day, Tom threw for 505. And they lost.
Whose fault was that?
What? See?
It was Belichick's fault. Wait a second. You always leave out the second part of the story. the GOAT coach, the greatest defensive mind in the history of pro football, gave up 41 points that day to the backup Eagles quarterback.
You see what you do?
Because he mysteriously benched Malcolm Butler.
Coach Belichick's defense gave up 41. But when Coach Belichick's defense held somebody to 17, you told me that was not enough. And your guy scored 14. And you want Coach Belichick to win you a game in which your guy's the unanimous MVP. Unanimous. 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Unanimous MVP gave us 14.
So I want everybody out there to realize that when Tom Brady fell out of heaven into Belichick's lap, they were 0-2 his second year in Foxborough.
Yes.
He had gone 5-11 his first year. They were on the hottest of seats because they were about to have to exit stage left. And guess what Belichick's record was when Brady took over as the starter? Bill Belichick is a head coach in the National Football League, 5 years in Cleveland, second year in New England. So he's into his year 7. He was 41-57. 41. That's 16 games under 500 until the GOAT dropped out of the sky into his lap.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Think about that.
Skip.
41-57?
He's doing this with a rookie. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe Bryce Young, as a true rookie, could have done what Mac Jones did? I don't, but he got an opportunity.
I would have let Bryce Young throw it last night. I would have let him throw it 20 times.
Skip.
I just would have.
Skip. But you see,
because he's going to hit a few.
But you see what happened is that Bryce Young got an opportunity to sit, to learn, to observe, to see, to understand. There are certain times you make plays, certain times you don't make plays. And in his second year, he's on the cusp of winning the Heisman Trophy. Tom Brady getting an opportunity as a rookie to sit, learn, to understand. Drew made a mistake there. He didn't say that, but he said, I don't think I would have done that in that situation here. And Coach Belichick says, okay, this is what we need to do. If we don't turn the ball over, what we're not going to do, Coach Belichick has a simple rule, I believe. I've never heard him speak to his team, but I believe he says if we don't turn the ball over, we greatly increases our chance of winning because we're going to make you turn it. We're going to get one from you. We're going to get one from you. So that guy right there,
that guy right there.
No. Yeah, that one on the left. That one on your left. That one over here. That one right there. He ain't nothing to be played with.
He looks like a Jedi master, doesn't he?
He ain't to be played with, Skip. He ain't be, man, he an awful big cat to be played with like a kid.
Really?
Yeah. Don't bother him, Skip.
He got to the point where he gets to wear that hoodie.
You see that?
Because of Tom Brady.
No, don't do that. Skip, why you do that?
Edward Patrick Brady Jr. made him.
I'm surprised he ain't go out there with a cutoff. Because Coach Belichick hard like that. He hard like that. I'm surprised he didn't come out there with the Subway hoodie cut off. Hands in their pocket.
How did he even start that trend? That's not necessarily the best look, but he rocks it. It's his thing.
No mercy.
LeBron has always been candid about his goal of one day sharing an NBA court with his son, Bronny. The 17-year-old played in a weekend showcase against LeBron's former team, St. Vincent St. Mary's. And when asked about the chances of playing with his son one day, the King said, quote, he has my support and my blueprint. With health and a little bit of luck, that would be the ultimate thing. So, Shannon, when you think about it, could you really see LeBron playing with Bronny?
Yeah, Skip, I think that's something that he clearly wants to do. He's made that abundantly clear on several fronts. And I remember the most famous is the Griffey, Skip. Griffey was the number 1 overall, King Griffey Jr. was the number 1 overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, in 1987. He made his debut, I think, 1990, and his dad had signed with the Mariners knowing that that was what he wanted to do. I think once LeBron gets this, because that's a long ways away. LeBron James Jr. is only a junior in high school. So we're assuming that next year, LeBron will be in year 20. 1 year college, that'll be LeBron's year 21. So the earliest, we're talking about 2024, that'll be year 22 for LeBron James. So a lot of things, like LeBron says, a little bit of luck, a lot of luck, a little bit of good health, these things possibly can happen. But we also got to factor in the case that, Skip, LeBron James Jr. is going to have to be good enough to be able to be a one and done. Now, the CBA could be at work and they can say, you know what? Now high schoolers can come straight to the NBA. That might be the case.
Could help.
If he's good enough and that can happen, yeah, I can see LeBron at that point in time maybe evaluating and say, you know what? I want to go play with my son. If I'm a free agent, whomever takes my son, I would be willing to go there to say I played 1 year with my son, or ask the Lakers if he's under contract to move him to the destination where his son is. But, Skip, I think that's something that he really, really wants because you're probably not going to ever see that again. I don't know. Has it ever happened again? Did Gordie Howe, did they play? I don't think they played together. So the only thing off the top of my head, Skip, is Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr.
Yep, because Barry didn't play with Bobby.
Right. So that's the only. And so for him to be able to do that, Skip, I think that would probably mean more than a championship. I hate to say it, but
I would agree.
I think it would mean more to actually play. I mean, I thought it would have been a huge honor for me to play with my brother, but your dad to play alongside of his son.
Yep.
Yeah, Skip, that would be. And I'm knocking on wood. I don't really knock on wood, but I want to see it happen. I hope it happens. I don't know if it will because there are a lot of things that's out of LeBron's hands. It's in LeBron. LeBron is going to have to continue to develop, and he looks like he's developing quite nicely.
Yep.
Got a nice jumper, can attack the rim, got great elevation. So hopefully he just keeps adding to his game. But like he said, LeBron's gave him all the tools, Skip. For him not to be successful with a dad, with all the training, with all the nutrition, that's all you can ask for. So I think I can see it happening. You know what, Skip? I'll give it a 15% chance of happening.
15%, says Shannon Sharpe. I'll go a little higher. I'll go 25% that it happens. But I believe LeBron has a better chance of still being able to play at a fairly high level in year 22 than right now Bronny has of being a legitimate bona fide NBA starter or even star.
Right.
Because I just can't figure out. Okay, so he's listed at either 6'2" or 6'3". Let's give him 6'3".
Okay. He's
already turned 17 in October. Help me out. Could he grow one more inch? Maybe.
Right.
But that's even that. Usually 17-ish, you're starting to. That's about the end of it, right? On height.
Right. Well, maybe he have a growth spurt like AD or David Robinson.
Maybe.
In senior, he grows another 6 inches.
Okay,
2 inches. 2 inches.
Okay, because his father's 6'9", so it could happen.
Split the difference, 6'5".
6'5". Okay, well, that would help a lot. If you could go from 6'3" to 6'5", that's a huge difference if we're talking about professional basketball.
Right.
So obviously already Kentucky's offered a scholarship and Duke wants him and Carolina wants him and Kansas wants him because he is the namesake of LeBron James. Well, who wouldn't want him, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter if he can really play or not. You want that guy because for recruiting purposes, we got Bronny on our team. Okay, great. Okay, I'm looking at ESPN's evaluation. They have him the 49th best player in his class.
Right.
Not bad, but not exactly NBA material, right? And then another scouting service, I think it was 24/7, has him 38th. Okay, so he's a 4-star recruit, not a 5-star.
Right.
Okay, I'll give you that. Pretty good. But not a lot of 4-stars turn quickly into NBA players, right?
Right.
But as you know, it is hard to make it in this league.
Yeah. Because it's not like the NFL. NFL, you got 46 roster spots. In NBA, you got 15. And Skip, the stars, I mean, you look at, stars don't really matter. Hell, I was an asterisk. I mean, nobody really thought I could do anything. They just, well, he's Sterling's brother. But I think I look at it like this. I still believe because of who his dad is, and he wants to make it, not because of his dad, but realizing the opportunity that the dad has given him. I believe he works on his game. I believe he's going to get better. So I'm not so sure by the time his senior year is up, he might be a top 25 in the rankings. I believe he'll be a lot higher than 40, 38 by the time it's time for him to make a decision to go to college.
Okay, I got it. Here's my experience. In this world, when it comes to parents evaluating their children in any form of performance, any endeavor, if it's singing or dancing or playing any sport, they have the least objectivity of anybody in the world because you're just blind to it because you want so badly to see it happen that you start to delude your mind into my son, my daughter can do this, they're going to be this and this. And there always comes that moment when you realize, they're just not.
Right.
Because it's going to hit you right between the eyes because the odds are stacked completely against this happening. So as LeBron said yesterday, my son has my support and my blueprint. Well, that's your point. He's got the blueprint.
Yes.
You can't. LeBron has the highest IQ in basketball. You cannot have better training than he is getting just by osmosis of living with his father.
Yes.
Right? Just being around, watching how his father handles everything, watching every game his father plays. And it looks like he's got some of LeBron's passing gift because he has a real feel for sort of seeing it coming before it happens, anticipating.
Look at the group that's around him. How many people have Mike Macias training them? How many people have a training table where you got a guy that's eating specifically for a 17-year-old in order to better his body? And all the physio, them top medical teams. So he has things that most 17-year-olds will never have.
No, and his father has thrown him into the fire repeatedly, like, go, just do it. Like he hasn't tried to protect him at all. Social media, whatever. You are LeBron Jr. You are Bronny. Go do it and try to rise above it. And he keeps rising above the pressure.
For the longest time, Skip, he kept him sheltered, but once he got to like a freshman,
let it go.
He opened the door, he let him go.
In Sierra Canyon, for those who don't know, it's out here in Southern California, not too far from where we sit right now. It's like a college program.
It is.
It is loaded with star talent that is going on to higher levels. So his experience level is as extreme as you can get. And obviously, he's been playing.
Because you got to compete. Because you got to compete against guys that are equal to, or if not better than you. So there's no
for a job on your
exactly. So you got to Skip. You got to get better.
Okay. So to your point. Is he going to be draftable? I hope so. Is he going to be a second-round pick or a late first-round pick? Because right now I can't see much better than, like, what's the ceiling right now? Could it be late first round as a point guard who could help run your show?
I think the thing is you're going to have to look at, I wonder, you know, what was Dame Lillard's rating? What was a Ja Morant's rating? What were they? Because they're kind of like this, like 6'2", 6'3" guards. Skip.
They are.
Now, Steph Curry is a different animal because we had never seen nobody can shoot the ball like him, and so I don't think he's going to shoot like that.
Ja, I know he's out right now. We're talking about freakish ability.
Yes.
And you could see it coming in college.
So, and that's when you're small on the smaller side, Skip. You got to have something freaky. Dame can shoot the ball. His handles. Ja Morant has freaky athleticism.
And Dame came into this league with a man body. He has natural strength to me. Okay.
Dame grew up in Oaktown, so he had to grow up probably a lot faster than what he probably should have, but he knew at a very young age what he wanted to be. I think LeBron James Jr. is in a very similar situation, although it didn't come up as hard. Seeing his dad, Skip, there's an advantage to that. Seeing my brother play at an extremely high level, college, and go into the NFL.
There's nothing like it.
Skip, because I'm looking at it, he did it. He ate the same bad food that I ate. He slept in the same raggedy bed I slept in.
He did.
If he got out of here, why can't I?
I know, and you see him do it at the highest level, and you think,
I can do that.
Got this.
I can do that.
You don't think Barry Bonds looked at his father, who was a pretty good major league outfielder, and said,
yes.
I grew up, you're growing up in the clubhouse, right?
Yes, because I always thought I was a better athlete than my brother, and I'm like,
yeah, absolutely.
He played, I can definitely do that.
Okay, it helps. It's it's like a bloodline. It just flows through you.
Yes.
Well, to me, the best scenario would be, what if Bronny goes to one of the big power programs and he's just a pretty good player, good enough to have a shot in pro basketball, but not to get even drafted? Because a lot of kids go to camp without being drafted. Right.
There's some leagues for it. You get an opportunity to get showcase what you can do.
So the best opportunity to me would be if Bronny didn't get drafted, but still was a legitimate
within
NBA style, where then LeBron could say, well, we'll just bring him on here. Let's bring him on board, because then he wouldn't be somebody else's property requiring LeBron to go to Charlotte or somewhere. You know what I mean? Right? Like LeBron wouldn't love to have to finish wherever Bronny got drafted, right?
But he would.
I think he would too.
I think
he would. His dream. It's his goal.
Yeah, because that's... At this point in time, there's not a whole lot left to accomplish. Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to win another title. Obviously, that's first and foremost, win an MVP. But as far as accolades, Skip, another All-Star game, I think the opportunity to play with Junior would probably be more to him than any of those other accolades.
It'd be great to watch.
Can you imagine?
It would be a great cap to his LeBron's
Well, they need
career.
to have this game at SoFi.
100%.
Because I don't know if Staples, it's crypto They changed the name. I think
it's
Christmas.
Christmas.
It's official, right?
I don't think it's.
Well, I saw them taking it down. They were taking it down yesterday.
I don't think it's supposed to be official till Christmas. That's what I was told, but I don't know.
Either way, I know that the letters were coming down.
Yeah,
it was kind of a sad sight. It was a little weird.
Yeah.
But it's a new era, I guess. And either way, Bronny and LeBron, that's a movie in the making.
No mercy.
This week on Thursday Night Football, it's a clash of playoff hopefuls. Big Ben and the Steelers head to Minnesota to face Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Thursday Night Football at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video. Well, the Patriots won 14-10 yesterday, despite Mac Jones barely throwing the ball. Gusting winds in Orchard Park led to Bill Belichick implementing a game plan that led to 46 rushes with only 3 passes. New England linebacker Matthew Judon joked about it after the game, saying, quote, hats off to the offense, really everybody, probably besides Mac. He really didn't do nothing besides hand the ball off. At least you can joke about it. Shannon, do you believe under the same windy circumstances that Belichick would have limited Brady to just 3 pass attempts in his first year as a starter?
Absolutely. Coach Belichick's about winning. What can we do to win? If it means throwing the ball 60 times and the running back, all they do is block, that's what we do. If it means handing the ball off 45, 50 times, Coach Belichick is about winning. That's what makes him great. Coach Belichick does not get caught up into, well, I have this guy. He's not a stat guy. He's a guy that the only stat that matters to him is winning. What is the most conducive way? What is the best way for the New England Patriots to get the win? If it requires Brady to throw the ball 55 times, that's what he would do. If it required him to turn around and hand the ball off, that's what he would do. People fail to realize that in 2001, Brady threw the ball for under 200 yards per game. He threw 12 interceptions and with 2 pick sixes. Before the last drive in the Super Bowl, Tom Brady had 92 yards passing. He ended the game with if I'm not mistaken, 141 or 143. I think he was somewhere around the 140-ish. So that just goes to show you, he was relying on his defense. He knew as long as he didn't turn the ball, the longer he could keep the game close with a chance to win it in the end, the better his chances were. Letting Tom Brady spray the ball all over the field, go 3 and out, let the greatest show on turf back on the field time after time again, wasn't going to be the best way to win the game. So what people want to believe, and I think what's been going on in your head, if Mac Jones and the Patriots were down last night, let's just say for the sake of argument, flip it. They're down 14-10. You still think they're going to hand the ball off? No, they're going to throw the football because the game would dictate them now to throw the football in order to increase your chances of winning. Well, I increased my chance of winning because they couldn't stop the run. If Buffalo could have stopped the run, guess what? They would have forced the ball in Mac Jones' hands. Well, you didn't force the ball in his hands. I didn't look it. I should have looked it up. But I don't think Wentz threw the ball but about 10 times when Jonathan Taylor went crazy against Buffalo. That's on Buffalo. You got 9-10 guys in the box. If you can't stop the run, Skip, I don't know what to tell you. Coach Belichick says, this is what I'm doing. I'm turning around and hand it off. I got 6 offensive linemen. What the hell you think they're going to do if they got 6 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, and a fullback? Run the ball.
Jonathan Taylor ran for 185.
How many touchdowns?
I don't know. Oh, he had 4 touchdowns, but I don't know how many times Carson Wentz threw. We could look it up.
Okay.
There is no way Belichick went into that game thinking, if I score 14, we're going to win this game. He was very lucky that Josh Allen was so off target all night with and against the wind. And I am here to tell you that Brady, through his first 12 games as a starter, had proven enough to Belichick, and especially to the great Charlie Weiss, who was then calling the plays, that there's no way under exactly the same circumstance with that kind of wind and cold in Buffalo that they would have shut him completely down and restricted him to just 3 passes with 2 completions. They're both very short. One was a screen pass and one was a little flip to Jonnu Smith that was an overthrow against the wind that he speared with one hand. That's what you have to show for your whole night. But he got away with it because Josh Allen let him off the hook again and again and again. Right. Josh Allen couldn't make a play, and at one point, Stephon Diggs couldn't make a play. But if you look hard at what Brady had already done through 12 games, he wound up that year with three touchdown games. So far, Mac Jones has 1. I think they already knew that Brady was a special playmaker / winner, and I think they still see Mac as an extremely experienced rookie game manager. But it's perfect for what they're doing because they have been playing defense and running the ball at high levels.
Right.
So that they just don't need him to screw it up, but they don't really need him to make plays. And to your point, they did get ahead at least 8-7 last night, and then they stayed ahead 11-7.
Right.
And it was enough to keep them just barely afloat where they could continue to say, no, don't let him do it. Don't let him screw it up. Don't let him try. It's not his night. We're going to run it. And to your point, Damian Harris felt like he was going to run for 185.
Yeah.
And he pulled up a little lame, and I don't know what the outcome was.
I thought it was. You said his hamstring. I thought it was his foot or his ankle or something. The way he was hobbling.
I think he pulled his hamstring.
Okay,
but not enough to shut him completely down because he would come back in for a little bit. But then at the end, it was just mostly Ramondre and Brandon Bolden, who is a big stud of a running back. He packs a wallop, man,
yeah.
And he's still going. He's been there forever, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the point was. Look what happened in the two big playoff wins. The one, remember, Tom turned his ankle at Pittsburgh, and Drew had to come in and kind of save the day to get them to the Super Bowl, right? Okay, so the first playoff game that he plays in is against the team I was covering, the Oakland Raiders, coached by John Gruden, quarterback by Rich Gannon. It was a loaded football team with Charles Woodson, and I can go on and on, Romanowski. Was he on that team? I think he was on that team. Did he come yet? Maybe
no.
Maybe he wasn't there until the next year. But the point was, the next year they broke through and got to the Super Bowl and got blown out by Gruden in Tampa. But the point was, that team was better than New England's team. New England had kind of come from nowhere. The Raiders had been a force all year long. So it snows, cats and dogs. It is a driving snowstorm, and Belichick let Brady throw it all night long. And when it came to the fourth quarter, and to your point, they were down, but the fourth quarter and overtime, he just let him throw it like crazy. He let him throw it 28 times in the fourth quarter and overtime. He completed 20 for 138 yards. And on the final drive in the snow to set up Vinatieri's clutch kick through the snow, Brady was 8 of 8 for 45 more yards just in overtime against a really good defense. And obviously it was the tuck rule game.
Thank you. So it's a moot point, Skip, because nothing should have happened after that. The game should have been over.
It should have been over. I do give you that. I called it the snow job game because I was in the press box at that point writing about it, and I was writing from an Oakland standpoint. It was a snow job game. Yeah. I didn't know about the tuck rule yet. We couldn't even figure out what they were talking about.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
In the end, he did that in the snow, and Belichick knew at that point, and especially because I think Charlie Weiss has just beaten the drum for Brady, he was a special playmaker. So what happens in the Super Bowl? To your point, he hadn't thrown for very much so far.
He had 92.
Okay. And then what happens in the last drive with the great John Madden? There's going to be a big feature on John Madden coming up here on Fox. But the great John Madden is up in the booth with Pat Summerall, and John is saying, boy, that first-year starter, that young Brady, they better shut him down and just play for overtime against the prohibitive favorite
Rams.
Greatest show on turf, right? And what does he do? In the final drive, Brady goes 5 of 8 for 53 more yards. So you can add 53 to whatever you said.
To the 92, so he threw for 145.
Okay. He completes passes of 5, 8, 11, and then 23 yards to Troy Brown, their do-it-all receiver. I think we have the pass to Troy Brown, if we could see this. This is big time now. Listen, this is guts. This is... You're daring the devil here with the first-year starter. That's what Belichick didn't want to let Mac Jones even try to do.
But Skip, they're indoors.
I got it. They're in New Orleans. I was there. I was on the front row of the press box. I got it. But that was the big throw, and then he had a 6-yarder right after that got them down into 48-yard field goal range.
Can I ask you a question? If they're indoors last night, do you believe they run the ball 46 times and Mac Jones only throws it 3?
I don't know. I've seen him do it to Indy one night on a Sunday night.
Yes.
They ran it down Indy's throat.
Right.
But Brady still, I'd have to go look it up. Brady still probably threw it 15 or 20 times.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. You look at the Patriots ran the ball for 2.3 yards a carry in the tuck rule game. If you take away Mac Jones' 3 kneels down, they ran the ball for over 5 yards a carry. So he's getting double what they got in the tuck rule game. Why would I put the ball, have Mac throw the ball up in the air, the wind is swirling all around? Now, I can see He doesn't have a Josh Allen arm to be able to cut through the wind. But Skip, I can just turn the ball, and Bolden is getting me 3 yards, and Harris is getting me 7 yards, and Mondre Stevens is getting me 5 yards.
I know what I'm going to call. If I'm calling plays last night, when I had the wind, every fifth or sixth play, I'm going play action because obviously they couldn't consistently stop the run. They started to get a little better late in the game.
Like the last 2 drives, Skip, they started fire blitzing it.
But when you have them on their heels, when you have them on the run, I've seen Mac Jones make some big-time throws. I'm going to try to put them out of their misery, man. I'm going to go play action. I'm going to throw it to Bourne or somebody. I'm going to throw it to Hunter Henry. I'm going to try something because they are sucking up. They're not playing 8 in the box. They're playing like 9 or 10 in the box, right?
Yeah.
They are daring you to throw it. I'm going to take a shot. They didn't take one shot the whole night.
Well, if Mac was a little faster, Skip, when they ran the boot and he threw the ball, he could have got the edge on him.
Okay, but we know he's not, right?
But you have, Skip, he has limitations. I just think the thing is, in a situation that if the playoff game calls for him to have to throw the ball, 30 times a game, I don't believe Coach Belichick is going to hesitate to put the ball in his hands to throw the ball. I think the type of game is going to dictate what Mac Jones does. They're going to come out. They're a running football team first. You got a smart, young quarterback that understands that in a situation like this, I'm going to have to make timely and accurate throws. When you run the football as much as they do, and if you notice, Skip, last night, when he came to the sideline, what was he doing every time? He was throwing the ball. Just in case. He's like, I ain't throwing it in the game, so I just got to make sure my arm is ready. If they do, all of a sudden, call a pass play.
Okay, I got it. 2 games. I mean, after the bye week.
Yeah.
They've got Buffalo
They're going to be Buffalo again.
Yeah, okay. So it'll be in Foxborough. We'll have to see what the weather is, but I will be fascinated to see how many times he lets or asks Mac Jones to throw it in that game. Will he try to come out with the same blueprint to try to just run it down their throat?
Where do they play Indy? In Indy? Because it's going to be interesting to see.
Yep.
Because, they're a cover 2 team. They try to stop the run and don't let anything get over their heads. So let's see how they do that. And it's ideal. You're in a dome. I guarantee you, if they can't run the football, Mac Jones is going to throw the ball somewhere between 25 and 30 times a game.
Okay, we'll see, because
in that game,
the GOAT went up there and won at Indy.
He did.
Okay.
But hold on. Are the Patriots going to get 4 turnovers? Are they going to get 4 turnovers now? So let's not pretend. Because at one point in time, it wasn't looking good for the GOAT.
They go as their defense goes in New England.
Whoa. You go and seem like you go the defense going in Tampa.
No mercy. This Sunday on Fox, the Cowboys are set to face the Washington football team in a crucial NFC East battle. Fox Bet Sportsbook had Dallas as 5-point favorites earlier this week, but now that spread has shrunk and the Cowboys are only favored by 4. I'm just reporting the news. I didn't do anything about this number. Shannon, what does this tell you?
Tells me the Cowboys are still favored by 4 on the road. It tells me that Vegas still think they're the better team than the Washington football team. That's what it tells me. Now, it tells me some of the bettors think that this is a divisional game and the game will be a lot closer than 5 points. And so they put a large number of money on the Washington football team to cover that 5 points. Hence, the spread has come down, Skip. The thing is about what people need to understand about bettors. I'm talking about true gamblers. They don't have a favorite team. Their favorite is Washington and Grant and Jackson. That's their favorite. Their favorite is money, not a team. As long as the team I'm betting on, long as they're covered, that's my team. Yay, go. If you don't, they got no use for you. So that's what it tells me. It just tells me that Vegas still thinks the Cowboys are a better team. The spread has come down 1 point. Cowboys are on the road. So for them to be a road favorite against the team that has won, 4 or 5 games straight.
4.
Tells you what the people think of what the Vegas Fox Bet actually thinks of the Cowboys because they believe they're the better team. Dak is 7-1 against the Washington football team, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. And Skip, you remember that loss? They called an infraction on the kick, the field goal. They ended up having to back him up, and Brett, I think it was Brett Maher.
It was
Brett the Fret.
He did.
And you came here all upset.
Yep. He gagged it.
He came here all upset.
Dak was a fourth quarter warrior.
Yeah,
in that game.
yeah. He brought it back. I didn't see the infraction either. They said the center said something that the center had moved the ball or something.
He'd been the snapper for 13 years, and he somehow jiggled the ball. What?
So for me, Skip, it doesn't tell me anything. it tells me that Vegas still believe the Cowboys are the better team, although a large number of the money has come in on Washington to cover the 5 points, hence it's dropped down to 4.
Okay. I am here to tell you, I always try to guess the spread before I reveal the spread. And I thought this would be a pick'em game because I have that much respect for our arch rival. They have won 4 straight games. They beat the GOAT, albeit at Washington, and then they went and spoiled Cam's fairy tale return to Carolina and Charlotte.
They did.
Right? And then Russell Wilson on Monday Night Football, that's no small achievement. We saw what Russ pulled off the other day against San Francisco, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then we stunk it up and got annihilated and humiliated, at least in overtime. You could say, well, I'm not even going to go there. But the point was, it was the Raiders. The Raiders did it to us on not so Thanksgiving. Right. And then what did Washington do? It went to the Raiders and beat them in their own place. Yep. And they got some breaks. They got a call at the end of the game. But they still pulled that off.
They did.
So they've won 4 straight games, and now they're at home. And Taylor Heineke, he's just a little...
He playmaker
just
skill.
a little baller, right?
He just makes plays.
He is the new Fitzmagic to me because he reminds me a little bit of Fitzmagic, who was supposed to be the starter game 1, right?
Correct.
And could be if he's still upright.
I think he done lost that job.
Okay, well, I think he has because now I'm reading all these quotes out of Washington where they're buying and believing, man, into Taylor Heineke.
Right.
Well, I don't know how you couldn't because he just keeps making plays and he's become a ball control artist because against the GOAT, he just played keep away, and they went, 13 plays?
Yeah, they went like over 10 minutes. They had to drive like 10 minutes.
16 plays, I think it was. It was ridiculous, and the GOAT just didn't get the ball back in time to do GOAT things. Right. So the point was, I thought this would be pick'em, and we open as a 5-point favorite. And so it's saying the odds makers, obviously, they waited a little bit because Cowboy Nation wants to just throw down big bucks on these games. But the point is, they're showing you they respect Dallas's firepower. They just think Dallas is better than Washington all over.
Yes.
And again, Logan Thomas, I'm knocking on wood for him, but he's gone.
Right.
And Chase Young is knocking on wood for him. Right. He's gone.
I think Sweat's out too still.
I think he still is. I'm not sure about him. We'll find out more probably today. But the point is, the only way I can justify this is my team has been weirdly better on the road than at home. Even though the record is the same, 4-2 on the road, 4-2 at home, we've had some real stinkers at home. See Denver, right?
Yeah.
See
Raiders.
Las Vegas. And yet, if you think hard about what we've done away, that opening night at GOAT, that Thursday night at Tampa Bay, that was a moral victory. We had him until 1:24 was left on the clock, and he did goatish things. Right. And then we go to the Chargers, and it was kind of sink or swim because I thought we were going to fall down 0-2, and we pulled it off. Barely, but we pulled it off. We won at Chargers. Then at New England, we did beat them, and that team's on fire right now, hottest team in the league. But that was the last game they lost.
That's your hallmark win.
It was hallmark. I'll take it right now. It feels hallmark to me. And then at Minnesota, there's no Dak, but the defense rose up and held Kirk Cousins, who did have Thielen healthy at that point and did have Jefferson healthy. It held him to 1 of 13 on third down. That's impossibly great. And then at Kansas City, to hold Patrick Mahomes, I know he's been struggling over the last 6 or 8 weeks, but to hold him to 19 points, you should win that game. And Dak's offense goes 3 field goals in 12 possessions. Well, that won't work. And then at Saints the other night gave me weirdly renewed hope. I just know how much trouble we've had in that building before, and however we did it, I know he couldn't even hold on to the football, Taysom Hill, but we showed flashes of dominance to me. We showed the firepower. We flexed it. For the first time all year, we had all 3 of our wideout weapons at Dak's disposal. And you saw what happened. Right. Okay, so here comes, guess what DeMarcus Lawrence did? In his first game back, he made the all-weekly, all-pro team on Pro Football Focus. He was first-string defensive end. Well, I told you the next day, he played great to me for a first game back. He didn't look rusty at all. Here comes Randy Gregory back for Washington. Here comes Neville Gallimore, the most disruptive interior pass rusher they have, back healthy for at Washington. Well, now there's no excuse, man. We got our full complement. We got Micah doing Micah things.
Well,
right?
I think Vegas factored all that in.
They did.
That you're getting all these guys back. And Skip, when you look at it on paper, you guys should be favored. The home team, let that sink in. The home team normally gets 3 points for being at home. They say, nah, y'all 5 points better.
5. It opened at 5. So it's 8-ish, really.
Yes, that's a touchdown, basically a touchdown.
It's basically a touchdown. And trust me, because I have lived in the middle of this rivalry.
Yeah.
It is arch rivalry.
Yes.
It's a blood rivalry.
Yes.
There's no respect. There's no love lost.
Right.
You know, some like the Giants for me are a respectful rivalry where they're a, you know, sort of a cornerstone franchise, and you just sort of respect. You don't hate the Giants.
Right.
You don't really hate the Eagles. You don't like them, but you don't hate them. But this team, you hate.
You guys, in the 70s, you guys battled it out a lot to see who's going to go represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.
It was.
So, you know.
I don't know if these kids realize that.
No, they don't realize that.
Okay.
It's just, you're just born into the rivalry. It just means you Skip, you go to Ohio State, you go to Michigan, you already know what it is. And you don't remember when Coach Shem Beckley and Woody Hayes, you don't remember those things, Skip.
Yeah.
You just know.
Yeah, and when you became a Bronco, when they said Kansas City.
Or Raiders.
Here we go.
It's Raider weeks.
Right.
Oh, we hate the Raiders? Oh, okay. I hate the Raiders,
I hate the Raiders, okay? Well, trust me, those guys in Washington hate you.
Yes.
They can't wait to play you because they get to play you in their place.
Yeah.
But I look at Dak's record at Washington, and again, he had that one loss you're talking about, but he's played huge in all these games. So I'm going to trust him to have a big game. So weirdly, I'm going to trust my team to win this game, even as a 5-point favorite, as Vegas says they should, when my gut tells me I shouldn't trust, but I do.
I was thinking you're gonna say this is too big. Oh no, we got no chance. And you come out here. So now all of a sudden you starting to believe in your team again, huh?
I just start thinking about road games. I trust my team on the road. I don't trust it at home. It scares me. Like, what's the? It's like the prize you don't want to win the division is a home playoff game.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I have to sit through that again? Because you know what often happens to them?
Y'all catch the
they get a home playoff game just because they stole the NFC least. Right?
I'm just counting on I'm counting on the Rams to just hold right where you are. Don't move. Don't move.
Rams. Okay. We would welcome them.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, you saw AD lad. You saw AD on Sunday?
Yeah, I think we
AD
saw
would
that.
get close. You see what he did to the on Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Got him a couple of calls.
That AD.
Yeah, you know.
No mercy.
Tonight, it's a college hoops doubleheader starting at 6:30 Eastern as Providence hosts Vermont, then Duquesne visits DePaul, only on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Well, after losing 14-10 to the Patriots last night, the Bills fell further behind in the AFC East as New England is taking control of the division yet again. Buffalo coach Sean McDermott wasn't in the mood to heap praise onto his opponent's game plan in the gusty conditions, saying, quote, "Let's not give more credit than we need to give credit to Bill Belichick in this one." Shannon, are you surprised he said this? A little sad.
I am. Give him credit. Because there are not a whole lot of coaches, Skip. Sometimes coaches do. This is what we do. Coach Belichick says, what I do is win ball games. Now, it might call for me to run the ball 46 times. It might call for me to throw the ball 55 times. But whatever is required of my team, that's what I'm going to do. If you don't want to give credit, so why don't you stop it? That was a basic game plan. They lined up with 6 offensive linemen. Stop it. How many coaches, Skip, we've seen all they had to do was keep running the football. All they had to do was just do this or do that. How many times have we ever heard someone have a complaint with Coach Belichick's offensive game plan or defensive game plan or special teams? Normally, it's button up across the board, Skip. We don't have Coach Belichick should have ran the football. I don't know why he stopped running it. Well, Coach Belichick, they were passing. I don't know why he stopped. We never asked that about his teams. We never asked, I don't know why they played that coverage, Skip, man. I mean, they see what they had. Coach Belichick, his defensive approach is, whoever your best player is, I'm going to make you beat me with your second best player. Whatever you do best, I'm going to make you beat me with your second option. Basically saying, I'm going to tie one hand behind your back, beat me with the other hand. Give the guy credit. I don't know why, Skip, I get it. We don't want to add any more bouquets to the bouquet that we've already. Skip, the man got a table full of roses. If they say, Coach, when you hear the term, Skip, give a man his flowers while he can still smell them. They're like, how many more flowers we got to give Coach Belichick? He's already got Super Bowl. He's already considered the GOAT. I can't give him something. All he did was run the football. That's all he did. It was simple as that. Sometimes the game plan, that's all it required of you. And a lot of these coaches won't do that because you know why? It's too simplistic. All they did was run the ball. What is that? Well, all they did was run it, and all you couldn't do was stop it. With the exception of probably the last 6 runs, they got positive yards on all the rest of them.
They did.
Even though you had 9, 10 guys in the box, you couldn't stop them. Line up with 6 offensive linemen and sometimes 2 tight ends. You couldn't stop that. And you mad at Coach Belichick? Man, get a man his credit. He beat you. He's like, look, you know what? It was a very simplistic game plan. Kudos to him. They came out here, clearly they knew what they wanted to do, and we didn't get the job done. But don't try to throw shade for something that you couldn't stop.
So I believe after that game last night that Sean McDermott, who broke through against Belichick last year and finally won that division, I believe he said enough is enough. I don't want to hear him over-glorified after this game because I believe Sean McDermott saw this game exactly the way I posed it to you to open this show. I think he saw it as a game they should have won, not a game that they got dominated in. Because when Brady used to be there with Belichick, there'd be games in Orchard Park where I would just sit back in awe because Brady would just blow them away.
Right.
Where you had no quarter. You were left with nothing at the end. You just had to say they were just too good today.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what Sean McDermott thought after this game last night. So his quote was, he's talking about average field position. He said, if you give me that ahead of time, I'm saying I like my chances. If you told him before the game, here it is, that Buffalo would start as an average starting field position at its own 40 in this football game, you like your chances? He loves his chances. But his quarterback, that's an indictment of his quarterback or his offense in general. They couldn't cash. And New England started an average start at their own 23 in this game. Well, okay, so you should win that game. That right there. I don't care.
You got 17 yards better field position starting.
The wind can blow 1,000,000 miles an hour. It doesn't matter because you're both going against terrible wind gusts, right?
Yeah.
So what happens right out of the box? They get the ball off a short punt at their own 48, and they go 3 and out. Well, that's no good. You got to go set the tone. You got the wind at your back, right?
That's not Coach Belichick's fault.
I got it. But he's saying, we didn't do it. It's not what you did to us. It's what we did to ourselves.
Let me ask you a question. Were the Patriots out there? Because if I didn't know better, I swear it was the Patriots versus the Bills. The Bills were not playing themselves. So he's just looking at it from one standpoint, Skip. He's looking at it from an offensive perspective of saying Coach Belichick running the football.
Okay.
But what about Coach Belichick's defense to your offense?
Okay, what about a 15-yard punt from Belichick's punter that gives him in the second possession the ball at New England's 40-yard line? Can you cash? No, Breida fumbles. Okay. Whose fault is that? Is it Matt Breida's fault? Is it some Josh Allen's fault? Did they not have a... It looked like it was Breida's fault to me.
He just missed the handle.
Okay. And then they finally get the ball all the way off the punt that grazed off N'Keal Harry's face mask. They get the ball all the way down at New England's 14, and they finally did cash. That's their one touchdown that night to make it 8-7, right? Okay. Then we get down to the end of the game. They
might have should have went for 2.
You think so? And then we get down to the end of the game, if we could see what starts happening late in this game, where they get the ball in the red zone, and we see those first, this is with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then what happens in these plays? They just go, here's the handoff. It just goes nowhere. That's first, they got the 6-yard line. Here's the second play. And he scrambles, and you cannot do it. You cannot take a sack there. You're going to lose because now you're 3rd and long, and he tries to throw one up, and that's against the wind, and he overthrew Dawson Knox. And then the field goal.
Man, you know you got to start that at the left upright.
You have to start.
At the left upright.
It's your home field. You know this better than anybody. You just have to start it at the left upright.
I watched them kick in the pregame, and anybody that started it right down the center, the ball blew off to the right.
Okay, it's not going to work. And then could we see those final 3 plays in order, if we could, where they get the ball 2nd and 9 at the 13? This is for the game. All you have to do is make one play. And he has Diggs on a back shoulder, and he just missed it.
Yeah.
And again, you're throwing it into the wind, but he just flat missed him. This is, if you're Josh Allen, that's why they drafted you, 6'5", 240 with a rocket arm. And then here goes the next play, and he scrambles and he moves, and you can't see Diggs. Diggs is wide open in the middle of the field, just standing there yelling for the football.
But once he got the initial pressure,
he couldn't do it. He couldn't find him.
Yeah,
he couldn't find him. And then Phillips makes a nice play, and then here's the third play, and I have no idea what this, I don't know who he's throwing to. Cole Beasley is wide open. If you just step up and fire, the game is over and you're going to win the game.
Remember, they say, let the play develop. Skip, he left the huddle saying, I'm going to number 2.
Yes,
that's why he missed Cole Beasley. There's no way he read what he read. Skip, the guy's outside leverage. He stayed there. He didn't move. Cole Beasley crossed his face. They teach you in zero coverage. You don't let the guy cross your face, Skip, because there's nobody in the hole. He's gone.
And Miles Bryant just sits down like he's playing zone. Like he's playing zone. He comes completely off Cole Beasley and easily knocks the pass down because it wasn't going to get to Gabriel Davis.
I think he blew the coverage, Skip.
Maybe.
He's got to take Skip. He has to carry. Skip is zero. Okay. Everybody has a man. He's the only guy that didn't cover a man. He's playing it like a zone.
I don't know what he's doing.
Look, Skip, he's playing it like it's a zone coverage. It's zero. You got a man. He has Cole Beasley, man. He lets him go.
Okay. That play is begging to be made.
Yes.
And if you make it, that's 4th and 14. If you make the throw of the night, you win. So Sean McDermott is saying we held him to 2 of 12 on 3rd down.
Yes.
And sure, we gave up some rush yards, but we held them to 14 points. We have to make one play. So he's not going to give in to the genius or the greatness or the royalty of Bill Belichick. He's not going to kiss his ring.
But here's the thing. He's looking at it only from an offensive perspective. He said the offensive game plan. But hold on, bro, you was 4-13 on 3rd down. It wasn't like you lit the night up. Nope. You had 230 yards. Actually, New England had more yards, total yards than you. They possessed the ball longer than you. So while you just looking at Coach Belichick's offensive game plan to where he decided to run the ball 46 times, what about what he did to your offense when you had the ball in that situation with a chance to win the game?
Okay. And by the way, last quick point of order, you asked me how many times did Carson Wentz throw it when they ran it down Buffalo's throat at Buffalo? He threw it 20 times and completed 11 for only 106, but he threw it 20 times. Mac Jones threw it 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay, go. That's it.
See? That's the thing. Right. The game plan call. I'm not going to do it, Skip. I'm not going to do it. Look, I'm not changing anything. You can't stop the run.
Okay. We'll see them back in New England, right?
Man, you really got it in. So now you're a Bills fan.
Football. No mercy. Reports of Damian Lillard's unhappiness in Portland have not stopped since the season has begun. According to multiple sources, Dame wants significant changes made to the Blazers roster. Lillard has also made it clear he'd like to play with Ben Simmons, and Simmons himself even liked an Instagram post that referenced this potential pairing. So, Shannon, how does this all play out?
I think Dame sees Ben Simmons as what Draymond is to Steph Curry. A guy that can rebound the ball, a guy that can facilitate the offense, can set outstanding picks, let me get off the pick and roll. Like he dives to the basket, lay it up, finish with either hand. I think Dame is 31 years of age. He's been in Portland over a decade. He knows what his ceiling is, a 2nd round. That's it. Dame wants to do this the right way. In my heart of hearts, I do believe Dame would like to bring a championship. He would like to finish in Portland what he started. But also deep down in his very soul, when he lies awake at night, he knows the way the roster is currently constructed in Portland, it is impossible. He sees before his very eyes the Warriors are legit. The Suns are legit. Utah. So he's like, even at our best, we're the 4th best team. Can we beat 2 of those teams and get to the NBA Finals? No. I know this about Damon, and if he's wired the way I think he's wired, Damon wants to showcase his talent on the biggest of stages. That's NBA Finals. And the way this roster is put together currently, they're not going there. And he would never say this, and this is not a knock on CJ, but we've seen this, Skip. We've seen this duo. It's not going to the NBA Finals. Now, the question is Dame, and see, he wants to do, Skip, he saw what happened when KD, he saw when Melo forced his way out of Denver. He's seen some of the great stars force their way out and get obliterated. But Dame, at the end of the day, bro, you're going to have to do what's in the best interest of you. You're going to have to turn the criticism off. Turn the headphone, get the noise-canceling headphones, and go about your business. Because you're not getting your proper due because you haven't been on the big stage. Talent is undeniable. His ability to make big shots are undeniable. But, Skip, he's only going to go so far in Portland. And I don't know if they can bring the pieces. Ben Simmons is something different. If he gets Ben Simmons, Skip, and it doesn't work, says okay. But, Dame, look at it like this. You left Oakland. You was loyal to Oakland. You were loyal to a lot of homeboys. But you had to leave them behind because they weren't going in the direction that you wanted to go in. Do not be afraid to leave Portland behind if they're not going in the direction that you need to go in, bro. Sometimes you can be loyal. You can be a slave to loyalty. Don't do that.
So the scenario in question here is Ben going to Portland, correct?
Yes.
Via trade, some kind of trade. I'm not sure what they have to trade, but
I believe Portland would do it. But you know, Sixers they're gonna want Ben Simmons, they're gonna probably want Anthony Simons, they're gonna want 2, 3 unprotected lottery picks, all kind of. Skip, you know, they're trying to make it so cost prohibitive that it ain't gonna happen. Yeah, that's what they are, because the Sixers. They're gonna want they're gonna
want Damian.
Right? They go yeah. They want CJ, but they're like nah, we're not giving you a Dame.
Okay, so this is highly unrealistic to start with, this whole scenario of those two somehow uniting somehow. Right. I don't know. Who knows? I get everything you just said, but I'm going to deal with just the possibility of these two on the same team. I don't think either one of these guys, as gifted as they both are, have the strongest, what I would call winners intangibles. I'm not sure Dame is that kind of a takeover team leader type, and I've had this discussion with him not face to face, but over the phone. Right. So he knows exactly where I stand on this. And I feel the same way about Ben Simmons. So gifted. I've defended him again and again on this show. But as a team leader, he just doesn't have the motor. He doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have the drive to be the leader of a team. Well, if you put the two together, I'm not sure they're going to go places any more than Portland's already gone up to
But
date.
I think you owe it to yourself to see.
Okay.
We already know how far you're going with the team that's currently built.
Okay. There is one winner in this franchise right now, and you know him pretty well, and I know him a little bit. His name is Chauncey Billups. And I thought it was not a good move, but a great move to get him to head coach this team. Unfortunately, he can't play for this team. Mr. Big Shot has to sit and watch this team, and he does not love what he's seeing. Because he was scathing in his criticism the other day, because he said competitive fire and pride, that's something you either have or you do not have.
Correct.
Well, he's looking at Dame, he's looking at CJ, he's looking at Nurkic. We can go right down the line. Right. He goes on to say, that's something you can't turn off and turn on. Nope, you got it and you don't.
Right.
I've never seen a team, said Chauncey, that needs its bench to inspire its starters. That, he used a word, the SH word, that is crazy to me. It's supposed to be the other way around.
Right. True.
Agreed. Bingo. Got it.
Yeah.
It is killing me for Chauncey's sake that he is caught up in this mess. Because we talked earlier about the Lakers. When in doubt, you fire the coach.
Right.
So I don't love Chauncey's position in the middle of this, because the first to go is always the coach.
But Skip, you have to understand, and I think Chauncey had to understand this. Also, he wasn't going to an ideal situation for the simple fact of the uncertainty surrounding Dame, and Dame being unhappy. What pieces can we put around Dame that's going to make Dame? Skip, I'm not giving. If I'm a team, I'm not just going to give you. Like, you know what? Dame has been a good player in this league, and I want to see him happy. So let me give up some quality pieces on my team to make. No, I'm not doing that.
They're not going to.
So the uncertainty surrounding that situation always made it a very. I wanted Chauncey to get a job too, because like you said, I know him. Hey, George Washington High School back in Denver,
Colorado.
Yeah.
Yep. I got it.
But I just don't see how with this roster. Skip, how long have we seen this roster together? And they got to the NBA, they got to the Western Conference Finals once. But more times than not, well, Skip, what is it? It's first round exit or second round exit. That's it.
That's it. I got it. It stinks. It smells to high heaven, and yet Dame blasted it in a tweet saying that there's no truth to any of these reports, that this is a sour situation. He's acting like he's good to go in Portland.
I don't know how long he can be good to go with this. He considers himself a winner. I know deep down he says, I'm a winner. And something's going to have to give, Skip.
Yeah, it's been weighing on him for a while.
Absolutely.
This is just continuing. Okay, well, we don't know at this point. It's not good.
No mercy.
The Patriots ran for 222 yards on 46 rushes in last night's win over the Bills. And after the game, a Buffalo reporter asked Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer for their thoughts on the team's defensive performance. Well, take a listen for yourself.
It's been over 40 years since the team has won a game passing that many times. Is that embarrassing?
I mean, what kind of
what are we doing, bro?
What kind of question is that?
It's a question.
We made stops when we had to. They had one big run. I mean, they got good backs.
All right.
They kept coming back, took a couple runs. I mean, I don't know how you want us to answer that question.
That's funny. Well, we'll remember that. I'll remember that. This goes into respect. It's all about respect. I come here every single week and I answer your questions truthfully, honestly. I appreciate you guys. Don't do that. Don't do that.
In my day, players answer that kind of question.
Okay.
Oh, you were them back in my day, huh? Is your kind of day to keep the players after that question, Skip?
Said that. Shannon, did they handle this the right way?
They didn't handle it the right way. I would have posed it back like this. I wouldn't say it was embarrassing. I'd say it's disappointing that they ran the ball so many times without throwing it, and we weren't able to get the stops early enough. We should have never let them get in field goal range. We should have never gave up. Micah Hyde, or the long touchdown run, Micah Hyde overran it.
He did.
It's very disappointing when you only hold a team to 14 points and you lose a game. So that means the onus falls on us. We need to hold them to 7 points. And then we win the game 10-7. But I just think, the reporter has a job to do. He framed it in such a way, of course. What's they supposed to say? Yeah, we're embarrassed. It's very disappointing when you don't play well enough to win a ball game and then a team was able to do what they did against us. So it's very disappointing that we didn't play better. That's how I would just frame. I wouldn't use the word. I wouldn't use the word embarrassing. I would say disappointing. I think we're very disappointing in our performance tonight.
So I lived in post-game locker rooms for much of my life, and they are fraught with raw emotion, as you well know from your side.
Right.
And the trick is that you have to ask tough questions with some delicacy.
Yes.
You have to frame it where it's answerable.
Right.
You can't attack because they were shamed by what just happened. They did not think they should have lost that game, and they knew it.
And guess what happens now? When you ask questions like that, you get frozen out. So now every time you ask a question, they look at you and they answer you with one word. And so now it makes your job a lot tougher as opposed to Skip coming in there and saying, hey, guys, I know it was a tough night tonight. How disappointing was to see them run the ball over and over and you guys not able to get timely stops?
Because the truth was, they were embarrassed.
Yes.
They didn't want to get the ball run down their throat. They didn't go into the game thinking, they're going to run it down our throat and control the clock much of the night.
Right.
We're not that.
Right.
That happened. Jonathan Taylor did it to it, but these guys are not going to do it because they don't have a Jonathan Taylor back there.
That is correct.
They have some very good backs, but they don't have that guy.
And the offensive line isn't the Colts.
No.
The Colts offensive line is legit.
Okay, so again, I fault both sides because it was a go for the throat question from a guy who's been there for a long time, and I'm sure he has some fan in him a little bit because he's ashamed a little bit that they got that done to them on their home field on Monday Night Football.
But the question is, how long was he there when Thurman and Bruce and them played?
Probably.
Would he have ever asked? Is it embarrassing that you guys went to 3 Super Bowls and lost all 3? Is it embarrassing you went to 4 Super Bowls? He would have never asked Jim Kelly that question.
Yeah.
He would have never asked Thurman or Bruce that question. So that's my only thing, Skip. I get it. You have a job to do. And like you said, coming off a game of this magnitude in which everybody saw what happened, Skip, it ain't no it was only broadcast in Buffalo. The whole world saw it. That a team ran the ball 40-plus times, and they threw the ball 3 times, and they won the game.
Yep. And yet, I've been in that situation where I asked a question that I thought was fair and it was taken not fair.
Right.
And we got into it.
Right.
I have found that especially, this is an interview situation, like an interview room, but if I'm at your locker doing that, there's no good that's going to come out of it because you're on stage in front of your peers.
Right.
And you've got to show that you're not going to take that from that reporter.
Correct.
And it goes south.
Right.
There's nothing good. This is the kind of situation where you need to get together the next day, just one-on-one, and talk this through.
Because it's already a situation, Skip, it's us against you.
Yep.
So now you really dumb. So
correct.
now it's all of us against you. So now we got to say, when he come in here, we ain't gonna answer no questions. We got nothing. Yeah, no. Whatever you thought. You saw it. Did you watch the game? Okay, you saw what happened, right? What you want to watch. So now we make your job a lot more difficult. So when you go back to your editor and say, okay, what you got? Well, I ain't got nothing. Well, good.
Unless you have relationships with enough players that will withstand the one guy that you don't get along with, because the other guys will say, I'm good.
Right.
Come talk to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and those relationships are so sacred,
You
right?
better foster them. You better
careful.
build some relationships. You want to do your job. What the last thing that business?
Always try.
No mercy.
Lakers host the Celtics tonight and find themselves as 3-point home favorites, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. LeBron's squad hasn't played since falling Friday night to the Clippers, while Boston is coming off a 28-point win in Portland on Saturday. So, Shannon, who you got? Who wins?
I'm going to stick with my team. That's my team. And I'm going to stand by them. I ain't confident, but that's my team.
Even after what happened that
I don't care what happened.
Friday, you got outscored in the second half at Boston 70-47.
You want a case to do on it tonight? I'm going to give you the 3 points. Give me a case.
You're going to give me the
I'm going to
three?
give you the 3 points. Give me a case.
Done. You got out-rebounded in Boston 51-33.
What that got to do with tonight?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Except they've won 3 out of 4. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at their bench and like Peyton Pritchard and Romeo Langford and Neesmith from Vanderbilt. They're making shots like crazy.
Watch what we do to you tonight.
Okay.
Just because.
You know what? I honestly believe you should win, but I accept the case and I accept.
Oh, we should win, but you take the case.
No, well, seriously. When I came out here, I was going to pick the Lakers, and then you tried to push me, and I said, "Okay, here we go."
Oh, I tried to push you. No, you.
Thank you for the case. I appreciate it.
No, we're ending this
you
thing?
wanted to pick the Celtics anyway. You just wanted a reason to pick them.
You just need a win at this point, Shannon. All right, that's it for
I'm winning
Undisputed. We're
tonight.
back same time tomorrow. Herd is on next. Have a great day, everyone.